Did you ever burn stuff when you were a kid?
What, like ants and shit?
Nah, just like, things, just anything. Were you ever a little pyromaniac?
No.
Really?
No, I wasn't. I lived in Alabama, so, like, I burned ants with a magnifying glass a couple times.
So you never actually set fire to stuff?
No, I wasn't one of those kids that like to set fire to stuff.
Dude,
as a matter of fact, I ever tell you that story about the time that my friend Solomon, who was the kind of kid that would set fire to shit, we had a tree fort. Or not a tree fort. We had a fort on the ground that was like a two-story fort. We had a two-story fort, and it had one door, and then it was like this whole complicated thing. And it was in the winter in Florida, and he piled up a bunch of fucking like dead leaves in front of the door after I went inside and set it on fire, and then didn't tell me. And then the place was just on flames around me, and the only way to get out was the wall of fire. I had to fucking just like kick the wall over to get out. Then a couple weeks later, genius. Actually, really smart guy. Is very successful as an adult, but not sure how. But
Who's Solomon?
Solomon.
I met that guy.
Yeah, you did. You met Solomon.
Yeah. He's alright. I liked him.
He's fucking awesome, dude. Really awesome kid. Who's 37, my age. But he fucking. We were in an empty lot walking to my house one day in the dead of winter, and I turn around and he's lighting a bunch of dead grass on fire, and I'm like, "What are you doing, asshole?" And he's like, "Oh, my hands are cold. I was gonna warm them up." And I'm like, "Shut up!" And then the next thing I know, a wind comes by, and it's in a vacant lot, and the entire vacant lot is on fire.
Oh my god! Jeez.
Like a wildfire.
What'd you do? Just leg it?
I took my jacket off and I started beating the fire down. And the funny thing about that was it was a brand new fucking jacket that my mom had just got from me and was like, "Take care of this jacket. Don't ruin it like the last one," or whatever I did to it. I don't remember what the circumstances were. And I'm like, yeah, whatever. And then I have to like beat, and it was one of those like nylon puffy jackets because this is the 80s, you know? And so it just melted.
I forgot that, like, whenever I picture you telling stories, I picture you just telling a story, but you younger. But I forget to apply the 80s to it.
You have to
everything
apply the
was
80s
in the 80s, and that
maybe
Eddie Murphy was running around.
70s on occasion. Yeah. And so we're doing that, and we're not making any headway at all. Why is there a cooked pork chop there?
Good pig probably burnt to death.
That's and so next thing I know, some guy starts screaming at us, and he's like doing work in his yard with his cooler, like offloading his boat or some shit. Why he was boating in the winter, I don't know. But and he comes over with like an ice chest and like dumps it out, and it doesn't do a fucking thing. So like another dude comes over, like runs across the street with a giant hose, and it took us and two adults to put this entire vacant lot out before it burned the entire neighborhood down.
Did you get a bollocking?
Well, I never told my mom until I don't think I told her until I was in my 20s. But the jacket I took to school, I hid it from her, and then I took it to school the next day, and I hung it up like on the hook at school, and I never brought it home again. And then my mom would be like, "Where's your jacket?" I'm like, "Oh, I left it at school." And she's like, "Bring it home." And I'm like, "Yeah, it wasn't cold enough. It was too hot on the bus. So I just left it at school." And she's like, "Bring your jacket home." And I'm like, "I'll do it tomorrow." And the last day of school, she's like, "Did you bring your jacket home?" And I'm like, "Mom, it's May. Why would I bring my jacket home?" And then I just never told her that the thing was just a burnt pile of shit.
So did you have to be cold some days?
I was cold for a long time. I was cold for a winter because because of Solomon. But the important thing is I never got caught and I never got in trouble.
What do you think is the perfect time? Like, you know, when it's funny that, at the time when you're in trouble, you don't want to tell your parents. But how many years have to pass before it's funny, do you think?
All right, funny to whom? My parents?
Yeah.
Well, I don't think anything like that is ever funny to my mom.
Well, even if now, you said, so when I was a kid, I almost burnt the whole place down.
When I was on the podcast, back in the day, when I would do the podcast, I would tell some dumb story about my childhood, and we'd film the podcast the day of or the day before, you know, and then like I'd forget about it, and then the next day on the way home from work, I'd get a call from my mom, like, "Oh, my mom's calling about," and she'd be like, "Really, Jeffrey? Really?" And I'm like, "What are you talking about?" And she's like, "You know what I'm talking about." And I'm like, "I have no fucking clue what you're talking about." And she's like, maybe the story you told me about where you were spending the night when you were 14, when you told me you were," and I'm like, "Mom, I'm 34 at the time, you know," and she's like, "I don't care." I don't think she ever got the humor in that stuff. Like, my mom didn't call me up and be like, "I never knew you peed on a security guard's truck. That's hilarious." She was like, "I always wondered why you came home without pants on." That.